This Drone Talk episode is about a controversial subject and question that we all at some time face. If you guys are part of any social media groups related to drones, I'm pretty sure you either have seen or have been part of a conversation like this.
Oh, yeah.
Micah, what is the question?
Is a drone pilot a real pilot?
Is a drone pilot a real pilot? So, what do you think? What are your thoughts? Is a drone pilot a real pilot? Can I, as a drone pilot operator, call myself a pilot?
You can, because that is what the FAA calls you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they do.
That's great.
Actually, on Christmas, they put out a few
Isn't
Facebook.
it is a remote pilot license.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
They put some advertisements out on Christmas as some
Yeah.
general warnings to people getting drones for the first time.
Yeah.
And they said, remember, you are a pilot.
All right.
Right
so,
on the ad.
So we are, but the question is,
Do we consider
real
ourselves
pilot?
a real pilot? I do.
Yeah.
I think you are, but a lot of it depends on what you're doing with it and what you're actually flying. I think somebody who gets a very small drone, like a Blade Nano QX or something like that.
Yeah.
If that's all you're doing and you're flying around, I think you're considered more of a remote control operator.
RC. Yeah,
I
they used to
think-
call them RCs, remember?
Right, RCs, exactly.
And no one cared until the drones came around, and now, so yeah, remote pilot. So the way you see it, it's more about, okay, you should consider yourself pilot because you are held to some standard. You do have some
Right.
responsibilities when flying these things in the national airspace as they define it. So you think if you're being held responsible or to many not all the standards that real pilots are held to, but to many standards, you have to know your airspace, you have to get
Right.
authorizations where it's appropriate. So you should have the right to call yourself a real pilot. But what about, so what's your, I always see folks who are, here is the real pilot. And, it's usually followed by some picture or a meme of like an F-18 or F-22 or F-35 and
Commercial airliner.
So I think what we're still faced here with is this, pride thing. You know what I mean? Like, because
there's
pilot,
a lot of pride.
It's the aviator. I can
Exactly.
beat, yeah. And I think a lot of the what are we going to call them? Traditional pilots. Traditional pilots.
Actually,
onboard pilots.
I will-
because we're remote pilots, so they're what? Onboard pilots.
Well, I would say that the word pilot is actually a colloquial definition, because if you go look up the definition of pilot, it covers different types of vehicles. There are pilots that operate container ships and Navy vessels. There are pilots that operate aircraft.
Oh yeah, that's true. So there are different kinds. There's F1
different kinds.
pilots, Formula pilots. Do they call them
Right.
pilots around here?
I don't know. You know more about the
We
racing
call them pilots. You know
community.
what? Like, to me, those guys are the real pilots because they're, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
If they go at like really high speeds, Formula One speeds are faster than some aircraft, but they're doing it on the road. So if there is a pilot, then of course, like, all the respect to all the other pilots who are, doing some pretty incredible work and have a lot of responsibility. But as far as like risking your life, I mean, the F1 pilots win. Yeah.
Oh,
in
yeah.
my mind.
See, they can hit the brakes and just stop if they need to. If you have an airplane,
Yeah, that's true. And then you have a military pilots who just risk their lives from a completely different reason. So you know, we can't be like discounting how brave or not brave. Obviously, those guys are totally brave.
if anyone earns
Those are the pilots. Yeah,
if anyone earns that title, it's probably a naval
yeah. I would
aviator.
say, I know. Yeah, to take off or land on the carrier and like do what those guys do. Oh my god.
Yeah, they can talk smack
Can
to
you
me.
imagine your runway moving?
I know.
Oh my god! Micah actually flies too. He's a real pilot.
Real private pilot.
And I was a sports pilot, so I know how to fly an airplane. I know how to land an airplane. Actually, I've done it enough times successfully. It's sadly the only mandatory part, and I have a lot of respect for the onboard pilots. But I think the remote pilots are totally pilots, and I think that word comes with like. It adds their layer of responsibility there. You know what I mean? Like, this is not just a toy now. I kind of got to think about what I'm doing and how I'm working with the other ones around me.
Well, I also think that the word pilot, it all depends on how, are you aspiring to what you would consider to be a pilot? Because there's the stress factor.
Yeah.
Let's say when you're trying to fly an airplane at night, when you lose your electrical system,
Yeah.
or when you're flying an Inspire 2 between buildings and you're trying not to crash, $15,000 worth of equipment.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the attitude that you are approaching and the
Everything comes
safety that
with-
you do. It's the same amount of.
It should be, the
Stress.
risk management. And,
Yeah.
All right, cool. So the drone pilots are real pilots.
And you heard it here.
And you heard it here. So if anyone tells you differently, just tell them to head over to dronephotographypodcast.com, check out Drone Talk, and find a few answers to this controversial question.